Today, I'm going to try and create my perfect everyday makeup look. Basically, using some colors that I've discovered through a little bit of analysis are the colors that I turn to the most and feel my best in the most. And I'm kind of on this exploration of like everything I've learned over the past few years, really about color theory, about having an olive undertone as someone with fair skin, learning about essences and style systems and just my own personal style. I just want to have a couple like go-to looks in my back pocket that I know I can rely on when I need to. And so today I'm hoping to kind of create one of those perfect everyday makeup looks. So hopefully this is the look I'm wearing in the video I've already released that's all about how to make your own custom color palette by taking colors that you love and feel best in and swatching them out so you can really like understand them, see patterns, and I'm loving my palette, what I created from it. I see a lot of similarities and I can tell that a lot of these colors reflect my favorite makeup products. So I'm gonna really intentionally combine them today, kind of look at that palette and look at the products I have and maybe try and understand why a little bit. These are colors I think will work for me in this makeup look. So yeah, it's basically just having a little bit of fun today, and if you have a complexion like mine, you'll hopefully like these colors as well. And if you don't, frankly, I find colors can really work for everyone. It's just about your personal style and what you gravitate towards. So let's get into the makeup look. Definitely thinking something that's very much about deeper mauves, terracottas, and some like neutral shimmers. So kind of the best of all worlds. So let's get into it. I'm gonna start with bronzer. And my favorite bronzer lately has been from Fille. It's the shade Light in their cream formula. And looking at it, I feel like I can see why I've been liking it and how it shows up in my palette. It almost has like a bit of a camel tone to it, and it's a little bit muted. A lot of my colors kind of have this mutedness to it rather than being, say, a very warm bronzer. This one has, just like I've said it before, but like it can kind of contour as much as it can bronze. It's like this perfect in between. And I do think a lot of people with olive undertones kind of look for something like that in their bronzers, something that doesn't cast too orangey and just like goes with like that tinge of green. And I find like camels have that earthiness that the color olive has. So I'm gonna start with this, nothing too much because I really wanna make sure the blush colors are really the focus. Okay, moving on to blush, my favorite category. Now, I play with all kinds of blush colors, but when it comes to things that I feel look most like harmonious with my skin, and by harmonious, I guess I mean just like not popping harshly against it, though that can be a look that I definitely turn to sometimes. Hello, cold girl makeup. But sometimes we're going for go-to look today, something that's gonna feel like I'm in public. I'm not too worried about my blush being too much. So it's no surprise to me that a lot of like peachy kind of terracottas came up. One of my favorite peachy blushes is from Rose Inc, and it's Foxglove. But then I have a newer blush from Merit called Fox, and it has a little bit more depth to it that I feel like reflects a little bit more the types of tones I'm seeing in this palette. So I'm gonna go for this one today. It's like quite deep in the little component, but Merit blushes are known for shearing out. And yes, I don't know, that's just to me so pretty with my complexion and just my taste. And because I am extra and love layering makeup, I'm gonna set this down a bit with this color from Fille, which is the shade Piazza. There's definitely some similarities. Maybe this one has a touch more mauve to it in contrast, whereas this is a little bit more warm. But I think it's going to be a good color to layer on top. And the Merit blushes are kind of dewy, so I like the idea of setting it down and putting a little bit more depth there. Just enough to add extra dimension right there. I'm gonna use the Merit highlighter in Cava. This one I feel like looks quite similar to some of the highlights I chose. It's not quite warm, not quite cool. And in my experience lately, I have indeed been really liking this shade. Now I'm gonna set down a lot of the complexion with a powder. This is just a white powder. I find I've tried pink powders. Speaking of, I do have one I'm trying to make my way through from one size. And actually, I find that competes with my skin tone in a funny way. I feel like I'd do better with an ultra pale yellow powder. But it is interesting to see how like even setting powder can impact a look. I'm gonna set down most of the cheek, but like keep that highlight. And so far, so good. I really like this complexion. Okay, for lips, I've noticed I have a pattern, a trend with lips, or at least like when I'm trying to create a lip look that I find just like perfectly feels like it fits me. And it's usually like the liner being the kind of more muted down shade, whether like a deep mauve or like a darker brown, and then the lip having some kind of vibrancy. So sometimes I will pair with like a cool tone liner and then like a pop of pink. Versus when I try and do the whole lip shade, like a mauve, a muted shade, I find I'm like missing something. Then I might add gloss to like lift the look. But I notice a trend here with what I like. And I do like a bright lip sometimes. It's definitely why I've put in my personal color palette like a bright orange, a bright warm orange, because I just love how they look. But I also love, you know, the depth of a mauve. But I'm noticing it's all about balance. That's what this whole process is about. Just like finding what works for you and what you like and kind of just like why that is. And then you can know what to turn to, right? So anyway, this is like a favorite liner of mine. As you can see, it's gotten quite small. It's Versatile Chestnut from Makeup Forever, and it's one of my holy grail liners. I have a couple other, Rare Beauty Wise and Endless Cacao for a cool tone taupe. Those are my top three probably. There's a couple other contenders there too, but definitely this is one of them. So I'm going to put this on first before doing a bit more of a vibrant-y, peachy terracotta kind of thing. And I feel like this kind of reflects that my lips don't have warmth in them. My skin tone does, but my lips have like a mauve element. I saw someone say recently that people with, especially I think neutral olive undertones, may find they like to play with cool and warm shades together in one look. So the lip shade I've picked out is from Rare Beauty and it's the shade Bold. I actually haven't used this in a while, but I think it might play interestingly with my new discovery about my lip preferences. So let's see how it blends. I can definitely see a shade on my little swatch that looks exactly like this. In fact, this is kind of similar to the blush as well. Just patting it on top of the liner a bit so it all kind of blends. I mean, I think that looks really pretty. That to me feels like a very go-to everyday shade for me. Something that's not too light, because I don't usually like to go too light unless I'm working with a more smoky eye, but like generally I like the lip to be more of the focus, and that feels like a beautiful in-between of like a bit of depth, a bit of mutedness, but also a touch of kind of warm vibrancy. Just a touch. So maybe I'll add gloss later. We'll see. I want to see where I get with the eyes. And I busted out a palette that unfortunately, very unfortunately was discontinued, but I had to mention it because I noticed a trend in this that reflected some of my choices in my palette. And frankly, I think almost every tone is on my palette. Like, I mean, the shimmers, it's a bit more difficult to tell, but kind of have these peachy colors, these neutrally warm tones, a taupey shade, darker browns, and then even this purple shimmer, which kind of looks like a little bit like the purple I like, something a little purple, a little blue, when I'm gonna go for a purple look. So anyway, I was like, no wonder I love this palette so much. No wonder it's my go-to glam palette. Today I want to keep things fairly simple because the idea behind this is like a go-to everyday look. So I'm just gonna do a touch of shadow, a little bit of shimmer, and probably call it a day. Call it a day. No. Okay, thank God. No. It came out from me probably moving it around too much. Okay. Here I am going on about what an amazing palette it is, and then this shimmer falls out. That's never happened before. You know, you can repan broken shimmers with some alcohol. I'm gonna have to do that, and I'll have to be careful lifting it up. I got it back in. It's a little messy now. So I'm gonna start with this shade. This feels like one of the kind of peachy, light to medium neutrals I have on my palette. And I'm going to just work this into the crease with a really fluffy, fluffy brush that helps with diffusing it. Diffuse, diffuse. People always point out that I say that word funny. Diffuse, diffuse. And yeah, I feel like this is very harmonious with the cheek so far. It's got that similar amount of warmth, like it's not overly warm. As much as I love warm tones, like I find when I go too warm, like the Natasha Denona bronze palette, I love it. I'll do it sometimes, but I don't always love it as a go-to. I think sticking with that theme of a bit of like more cool tones mixed, I'll use this one that's more of a taupe to add a bit more depth at the outer corner. And then just mixing both colors on the lower lash line. And then for just a little bit of depth at the lash line, I'm going to go in with this dark brown here. This one leans more warm rather than cool. And just put a touch of it right there, just to help like the mascara and everything blend. Then a little bit of shimmer, nothing overwhelming like all over the lid glam, but I think let's play with the shimmer tone today. I might as well go in with the one that's all over the place, that middle one, like a champagne kind of gold, similar in a way to the highlighter color. I'm just gonna put that on the outer third of the lid, outer 2/3. Guys, I'm loving this makeup look. I know I do a lot of gothic explorations, and I'm a lot of the time can be in the mood for something like that, but at my core, I do kind of love something just soft and romantic with just a little hint of depth. I feel like this is giving that. Anyway, loving it. I'm gonna do lashes off camera. I am gonna go with black lashes because I think black can work for everyone, and black mascara, hell yeah, it makes the eyes pop, it makes the look pop, and there's more options for black mascara. Anyway, I'm gonna do that. I will be back and we will assess if there's any finishing touches and how everything's come together. Not to be dramatic, but I do think this is one of my favorite makeup looks. At least when it comes to how it feels on in terms of like comfort level, how I feel like it reflects where I'm at with my personal style, and how I feel it looks harmonious. I have this little test I do where in my bedroom, I have a mirror that's kind of in shadow. So when you back up, you don't see a makeup look lit up. It's kind of in shadow. And that's kind of a test for how I feel like tones are playing with my skin, because I can kind of see it in another light. And I did the test and I loved how it looked. Like it reflects depth. There's a bit of depth in that darker light, but then in this light, you can see like a lot of warmth, and I'm just loving the peaches and terracottas. And yeah, I just feel like it feels very comfortable for me. And I feel like that's the key word of what we're searching for, no matter what your personal style is. What makes you feel the most comfortable and most yourself? And I thought this was such a fun exercise. I basically spent the morning creating this palette, and I really feel like I have something I can just like really rely on. And don't worry, I'm always going to be exploring fun makeup looks. Of course, I will be wearing lots of blue eyeshadow and playing with gothic looks. But when it comes to my everyday style and kind of no muss, no fuss, let's not go down a rabbit hole of experimentation when I have somewhere to be. I love having this palette at hand. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me use the palette and how I ended up discovering a makeup look. I'm really happy with it. I'm not going to add gloss because I feel like I do that too often and end up putting gloss on like every makeup look. I feel like this lip color is so perfect, so I'm not going to ruin it. I just feel like everything, yeah, is just so well balanced. Touch of glow, a little bit of shimmer, and just like beautiful like mid-tone rosy terracottas and peaches. totally up my alley. Anyway, I'm happy, as you could tell, just really enjoyed this. So yeah, that's it for today. Definitely check out the video where I break down the process of creating this custom palette and why I take issue with things like color seasons. If you haven't checked that out already, I'll link it down below. And yes, time to grab Toasty for the outro. Did that rhyme? Link it down below, outro. It did. All right, Toasty, let's take it away. He's like, shut up. Anyway, friends, that's it for this video. Thank you so much if you stuck it out until the end. If you want to like, comment, and subscribe, I always appreciate that. And check out my Patreon, link down below for bonus content. Until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of makeup magic, and we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.